Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. I want to try something new here and just go over kind of a week in review, if you will, and just show more behind the scenes of what the Clay Trader Inner Circle community is all about. And on social media, yeah, I talk about the chat room a lot. However, there is a newsletter that goes out every weekend that's part of it that we call, the Power Profit Scans. And I want to just go over, a week here, and if this gets any sort of traction, if it kind of piques people's curiosity, then I'm sure I'll be back to do more of these. But like I said, the chat room is part of it. Then you have the newsletter, and the newsletter that goes out has just several setups, as you're about to see. And I want to quite quickly just kind of go through how some of these have played out. Now, a couple disclosures real quick. Am I trying to sit here and say and imply that every single scan that shows up and that I put in the newsletter is going to be a huge green trade? I'm not saying that at all. That's not my intention. Am I saying, though, that these are good examples of why you need to be disciplined, why you need to cut losses quick, because you never know when the next big trade is around the corner that can help wipe away those losses and then keep you in the green? That is definitely what I'm implying, because, yeah, there are winners. There are winners that are alerted. Not everything is going to be a huge green trade, but it's going to illustrate, like I said, why discipline, why risk management is so important, because you don't want to be missing out on, the types of examples that I am going to be showing. I am also doing a couple weeks ago in terms of the choices, just because I want to make sure that there's been plenty of time for different setups to play out. And some of them, to be, bluntly honest, they haven't quite played out yet from some of the nearer term ones. And I don't want to talk about those because that wouldn't be fair to the people that are actually paying for these. They need to have the best opportunity to capitalize on those setups. So what we're going to be doing is going over the week of 6/25/18. I have a few from there, and we'll just kind of look at what the setups look like beforehand, and then how things all played out. And I should note quickly, what you're looking at on the screen is just after you do create an account for the Inner Circle. Behind the scenes, when you go to the newsletters, this is what you'll see here, and then each one of these has the 5 separate chart setups that I put out for the week. The first chart to talk about is ATVI, and I threw this and titled the category of the setup as trend trading. Just simply, following the trend, and you can see the notes there. If you still believe in the trend, here's an opportunity. So let's see how this actually all played out. So I will bring up my e-signal chart, and then we'll kind of follow through how the next couple weeks all played out after this one was alerted to the newsletter. Here's what the chart looked like as alerted, and we'll just kind of quickly go through it, and you'll see what essentially occurred. So the price did continue to pull back. Of course, remember, as noted, this was all occurring in the overall uptrend, and you can see from there things actually did, like I said, pulled back here, allowed for entry opportunities if people wanted them, if people, like I said, still thought that looked well to them. And you can see then a very nice follow through over the next few weeks. And as things stand right now at the time of this recording, sitting up right next to these highs, potentially going that much further to the upside, with 82 being that current area of resistance right there. But again, the price was alerted down at this area of the chart, in the right there. Got the little further pullback right there, and then up it went from there. So nice example there of just some trend trading, and one that was alerted very early on in the move of where it currently is sitting right now. The next chart on that same week of scans was KBH here, and essentially just as I called it, a history repeat. The price had bounced several times off of that 25 area, give or take, and that was just what I was questioning here. Hey, there's a lot of history with the price bouncing off that area. Is it going to happen again? So let's see what happened with it. So here's the chart as we left it off, and $25 right around there was that area where there had been several bounces before. So let's see how this one played out in the coming weeks. So you can see right there the price dropped right down to that $25 area and allowed plenty of opportunity. So it's not like it was anything quick or anything. I mean, several times the price was just hanging right down around that green line at 25. So plenty of opportunity, like I said. By no means was this a game of musical chairs or anything like that. If people, wanted in at that, area of the chart, it was more than realistic. So I know sometimes out there you see people talking, you're like, wait a second, was that actually realistic for people to get that opportunity? Maybe a few people, but like an entire community, I don't think so. But as far as this is concerned, plenty of opportunities and more than realistic that people could have gotten in right around 25 if they wanted to. So let's see how things continue to play out. Very nice move right there on the gap up. So I mean, that in and of itself, good solid opportunity. Whether or not people held or took profits would depend on their strategy. A bit of a pullback there, but did put in those higher lows, and you can see that after that the price just continued on up and is now currently residing right there. So was it a huge move? No, but I mean, this is still a good move from 25 up to right around 28. Now, am I saying people played it perfectly? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that as far as the profit opportunity window, I mean, when you consider that this right here was how much room people had to potentially work out a profit, that's a lot of leeway to get a gain out of and do well on it. So just another one where the power of charts, history did indeed repeat itself. For our final one, we had ticker symbol OPK, and this was just simply a volume. I say simply, but I mean it was a volume alert. And just a situation where you look down here at the volume, gigantic volume compared to the history of things, and these ones worth watching. So threw it on the watch list. Let's see how this played out in the following weeks. So here's the chart as it was left, and with this one there was a little bit of patience required, but for those that if you've ever heard the saying "patience pays," here's a great example of that. So the following days. I guess not technically. I mean, that was a nice little move right there that occurred pretty much right out of the gates, depending on what your definition of quote-unquote nice is, but it's not like it went sideways right away. It did actually head up quite a bit relatively quickly after, like I said, the week opened and got up as high as right there. But like I said, I realize nice is subjective. Some people define nice different ways. So this is where the patience pays off. Now it's essentially just going sideways. But then all of a sudden, there we go. Big follow through. And like I said, all the way up as high as about $6.25. I take that back. And then it went up and hit as high as $6.40. And then that is where the price is currently sitting at right now. So alerted down here. And with some patience, a very, very nice move up, well over $1 per share, and we're talking about a sub $10 stock. That adds up very, very quickly. And these are just, like I said, a couple of the different, setups and scans that were given for the week of 625, and there's 5 of them. So I mean, right here's 3 that did very well, and all in different, amounts of time in different ways. But there's no such thing as a holy grail. There's many approaches out there, so that's why I try to add a variety of different setups to keep an eye on. If you are interested in getting these newsletters and these setups, then all you got to do is go to claytrader.com/inner circle. Before anything else, the cost is $99 per year. If you run the math on that, it breaks down to $1.90 per week, which is, depending on what sort of coffee you drink, less than 1 cup of coffee per week that you would need to sacrifice in order to pay for the community. So I just want as many people to be a part of it as possible. So that's why I keep the price, like I said, more than fair. Do the math, $1.90 per week. You can see the benefits up here. There is a mobile app, so you can keep in touch, no matter where you are or anything like that. And like I said, the portion I just focused on was the newsletter, but there is the live trading chat room and, other dynamics like that. So again, if you're interested, go to claytrader.com/inner circle. Cost is a minimal $99 per year, which breaks down to less than a cup of coffee per week. So hopefully you decide to give it a try. If you do have any questions or anything like that, by all means, please leave them down in the comment section, and I will be more than happy to help out and answer any questions as best as I can.